Bruce Carriage Company. Our history expert solves local mysteries. Who, what, when, where, why, and why not? Well, sometimes. An article by Vance Lauderdale. Vance Lauderdale. Ask Vance is the blog of Vance Lauderdale's, the award-winning columnist of Memphis Magazine and Inside Memphis Business. Vance is the author of 4 books. Ask Vance, the best questions and answers from Memphis Magazine's history and trivia expert, 2003, as well as Ask Vance, more questions and answers from Memphis Magazine's history expert, 2011. Vance Lauderdale's Lost Memphis, 2013, and Vance Lauderdale's More Lost Memphis, 2014. He is also the recipient of quite a few nice awards, including the Best Blog 2017 from the Society of Professional Journalists Green Eye Shed Awards, the creator of several eye-catching wall calendars, and the only person we know with a vintage shock treatment machine in his den. You can email Vance at askvance@contemporary-media.com. Vance is one of my favorite authors, and it has long been my goal to expose more folks to his thoughts through the magic of audio, video, produced for play on that thingamajig we just can't seem to be without, the cell phone. Reading text on those things is for those with much better eyesight than most of us possess. So hopefully he will forgive my efforts to bring more exposure to his work by transforming it to the spoken word. Dear Vance, at a local estate sale, I purchased a folder stuffed with old papers, and inside was a sales booklet for the Bruce Carriage Company, apparently located in Memphis. What can you tell me about this business? MB from Memphis. Dear MB, I can tell you that you've made a remarkable find. This fragile catalog is a rare artifact from one of our city's oldest family-owned businesses, and one that few people remember because, after all, you don't encounter many carriages on the streets of Memphis anymore. The Lauderdales were longtime customers of the Bruce Company, and our impressive vehicle, glittering with gold-plated trim and a family crest hand-painted on the doors, was an impressive sight around town. By the 1930s, though, it tended to hold up in traffic when I'd venture out on my history explorations, so we traded in for a Hispana Suiza. I've already said Bruce was among the city's oldest companies, but I can't provide an exact year for its founding. The earliest city directories at my disposal date to the 1849, and they show that William S. Bruce was already listed as a carriage maker. The sales catalog suggests an even earlier date by listing 3 principals of the firm, Clifford Bruce, R.C. Bruce, and W.H. Atkinson, in saying our 54th year. Atkinson, one of the few officials outside the Bruce family, joined the company in 1885, so the math provides a possible founding date as early as 1831, barely 20 years after the city itself was established. How the small carriage manufactory on Monroe managed to produce so many vehicles is a mystery that even a Lauderdale can't solve. Here's what I've been able to glean from various sources. Sometime in 1830s or 40s, Noble S. Bruce came to Memphis from Grenada, Mississippi, and opened a small carriage company in a 2-story brick building on Monroe, just east of Main Street. In the early days of the company, the offerings were fairly basic, utilitarian models. After all, in the 1840s, Memphis was considered a rough frontier town. Their Eli road cart, an open conveyance that was little more than a wooden seat suspended between 2-spoked wheels, pulled by a horse or mule, was typical of their early wares. In short order, though, as Memphis grew, so did the company, and by the 1850s, the old city directories included half-page ads extolling N.S. Bruce and Company as a carriage manufacturer and repository, and dealers in hardware, trimmings, paints, oil, spokes, hubs, wheels, varnishes, etc. That's quite a selection. It seems they offered just about everything but the horse. Throughout the 1800s, Bruce expanded even further. and by the time this sales booklet was published, customers could choose from more than 30 different models of buggies and carriages. If we can believe this old sales booklet, the scope of the company was truly astonishing. We have in our showrooms on wheels and crated, ready to show and ship, nearly 1,000 carriages, pythons, buggies, and road carts. We are always prepared to ship our vehicles the day the orders reach us. By this time, and I'm talking late 1800s, other members of the Bruce family had joined the firm, and William and Joseph replaced Noble as officers of the company, now known as W.S. Bruce Company. Whether they were brothers or sons of Noble, I can't say. Over the years, in fact, so many Bruces joined the firm that I can't make sense of them without a family tree. The city directories list various Nobles, several Josephs, along with a Clifford, Cornelius, Francis, and Byland, and probably others that I've overlooked. From time to time, they might bring in an outsider. I've already mentioned that Atkinson fellow. But it pretty much remained a family concern its entire existence. The catalog is fascinating. When readers today see old photos of buggies, they probably think, hey, there goes a buggy. If it's something a bit fancier, they may think, okay, that's a carriage. But just as with automobiles today, companies like Bruce offered a mind-boggling array of vehicles in all different shapes, sizes, colors, and models. Anyone needing a basic cart, for example, could start with the package road cart, made of the best stock available, with no bars to climb over, and a large extension rack for carrying parcels, which will be found very useful as well as ornamental. The Bruce catalog promises us to be the easiest riding, neatest looking, and only common sense cart made, and a bargain, it seems, at $23. But wait, on the opposite page of that same catalog, for just $2 more, was the Queen Python cart. Now, maybe you and I might think these look the same, but for that extra $2, we offer you a cart with upholstered seat and a lazy back, wood dash, whip socket, shafts fully trimmed with dash leather and nickel tips. In short, the Python cart will meet the approval of the most exacting customer. Bruce produced specialized conveyances for white-collar professionals. Salesmen could ride around the countryside in the drummer's buggy with special storage for samples, and physicians could make house calls in the doctor's road cart in green, wine, or natural wood, with a storage pocket under the seat and a hinge gate. Judging from the illustration, it wasn't large enough to carry patients. Even Bruce, it seems, didn't offer ambulance service at the time. The catalog presented page after page of other models, such as a Texas side spring buggy, the Whitechapel road wagon, the two-seat three-spring wagon, the mascot buggy, the cut-under Surrey, the jump-seat buggy, the tip-top road wagon, just a thing for business or pleasure, and light and graceful enough for young people, the six-passenger hack, not shoddy, but first-class materials throughout, and the new ladies' Python, on account of the style and finish designed more especially for ladies' use. Which brings us to the type of carriage the Lauderdales would have owned, the top-of-the-line Royal Surrey, quite expensive at $125. This represents the handsomest Surrey we carry, says the Bruce catalog. A splendid piece of work throughout, beautifully trimmed in a new shell pattern, with heavy upholstery, spring backs, and splendid well-made cushions. Model number 895, with the end-spring canopy top, even came with curtains to enclose the entire carriage. Definitely a feature the Lauderdales would have required. Even an apron for the lap, trimmed and finished. By the 1890s, the firm was clearly prospering and family members took key roles in other high-profile positions in town. When they weren't selling carriages, Joseph Bruce served as president of the Hernando Insurance Company, and William Bruce was a vice president of the Memphis National Bank. Even a firm as successful as W.S. Bruce & Company had to be concerned, however, when a Memphis bicycle salesman named Jerome Parker listed a newfangled contraption called an automobile in his 1901 sales catalog. When Samuel Carnes, head of the Memphis Light and Power Company, purchased the first horseless carriage, here the fate of the Bruce firm was sealed. By 1910, Memphis was home to more than 20 car dealers. That same year, Bruce tried to adapt to the changing times, announcing they now sold vehicles, saddlery, and automobiles. They even opened a garage down the street at 1340 Monroe. The old carriage maker couldn't compete with the growing number of car dealers, especially when the big names, Ford and Buick, among others, arrived here. By 1914, the company that had survived such challenges as the Civil War and yellow fever epidemics closed. One of the nobles became manager of an insurance company here, and Ryland moved to St. Louis to open an ice company. Other family members must have joined him, since they were no longer listed in the old city directories. I simply can't say what happened to everybody involved. The Bruce Manufactory on Monroe became home to Wells Fargo before it was demolished in the 1960s to make way for Commerce Square. A few blocks away, the old Bruce garage has survived, still serving the transportation industry. It's home to Sign Delivery, Inc., offering vinyl advertising wraps for cars, trucks, and vans. Vance Lauderdale is the history columnist for Memphis Magazine and Inside Memphis Business. His dramatic life story is so well known that school children are taught to recite it for extra credit. If you enjoy Vance's musings, why not subscribe to the Memphis Magazine weekly newsletter and find all that is happening now and has happened in and around Memphis. The email is free, and you can find a link below this video to get your adventure started.